So it's 3 after. Let's start. Very nice to see so many people here. People are still joining. So hello and welcome everybody to this second Open Software Defined Vehicle of the Future initiative community TechTalk organized by FEDERATE. So I'm Mario Josef for the virtual vehicle. I'm the host and the organizer today. So I have to figure out if there is some very feature that everyone can join without pressing the button to allow. Yeah, today, let's say we get a talk all about the automotive grade Linux and their building blocks. And therefore, it's a pleasure to have Walt here from the Linux Foundation. So Walt is the community and the project manager of the AGL project. And I can say that nobody can give us a better overview about the project. Maybe one more information, the Tech Talk will be recorded and published. So if you see your name, it's fine. And with that, I will hand over to you, Walt, and looking forward to an exciting tech talk about the Linux.
All right, thank you, Mario. Can you hear me all? Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, it had said I was muted. So I want to do that screen, and I want to do this. Okay. All right, good morning, everybody. Like Mario said, I am Walt Miner. I'm the Senior Director for AGL Community, and I'm the Project Manager for AGL, and I do a whole bunch of whatever else is needed for the project. So what am I hoping to answer during this talk? First of all, what is automotive grade Linux? I know there's a lot of questions about that. AGL provides the unified code base. So what is the unified code base and what can you do with it? How do we enable collaboration on AGL, and who are we collaborating with now? What are we working on in the software-defined vehicle domain? And then how can you participate in AGL activities? There's a lot of things going on and a lot of ways you can participate. So I want to share that with you as well. So first of all, who is this guy? Why do I care? I've been the development and community manager since 2014. So it's been going almost 11 years now, and it'll be 11 years in August. I've been working on Linux for about 20 years. Starting when I was at Motorola's Mobile Devices Group, I managed the system architecture team and the software systems engineering and software architecture teams there. I've also got experience in the automotive domain and with Linux at Continental, also with Monte Vista and Mentor Graphics. And I'm based in Asheville, North Carolina, here in the United States. And then if you really want to get me talking, just talk to me about motorcycles. That's a picture of me and my my latest motorcycle. But enough about me. So what is automotive grade Linux? We're basically a project hosted by the Linux Foundation. So we're a nonprofit. We're open source, Linux-based collaborative project. And our tagline is we're collaborating to build the car of the future through rapid innovation by uniting both the automotive and the software industries, and really in particular, the open source software industry. We provide, basically we're providing and we're trying to provide solutions for infotainment, instrument cluster, heads-up display, telematics and connectivity, ADAS, and functional safety. So we have a total of 9 OEMs worldwide who are supporting AGL and are members of AGL. We're also talking to a few others right now about joining. And you can see this spans from Japan and China to Europe, with a large number of the Japanese ecosystem. And then we have a large number of tier 1 suppliers, as well as system integrators and tier 2s. And that kind of diversity is here in the AGL advisory board. And in 2025, we have Honda, Mazda, Toyota, and Suzuki for OEMs. We have tier ones like Panasonic and Aishin and Denso on our advisory board. And then Renesas is a tier two slash silicon provider. So a wide variety of participation across the advisory board and really across the entire ecosystem. There have been millions of vehicles. There are millions of vehicles that have been shipped with AGL, starting with the 2018 Toyota Camry. It's now spread across the entire Toyota and Lexus product lines. Subaru is using it, Mercedes-Benz vans, and more to come. We'll have some interesting announcements about this coming up later in the year about some more vehicles and some more OEMs that are using AGL. AGL, oh, I hope I fixed this. AGL is code first. I mean, really, really, what I'm going to talk about is what's available with our software. There's a lot of other organizations, and I'll talk about Covisa and some others. They're really good at writing specs. AGL is really bad about writing specs. We'll write code, we'll write documentation for the code, but we generally are not interested in writing specs, but we are interested in collaborating with anybody who has a spec, who has an implementation in that software, and bringing that into AGL and making that available for people to use. So when I say we have a unified code base, basically for the last 10 years, about 10 years ago, we decided to create our own distribution. We were using some other upstreams prior to that really weren't working out for us. And really, oh shoot, see, this is what, I have a animation I must have not turned off. We decided at that time to take, there's a lot of good open source out there, and basically take the best of what was already out there, combine it into a single shared code base for the entire industry, and have both automotive companies and open source software companies collaborate on that. We wanted to reduce fragmentation, focus on innovation and new features. Everything we do is completely open source and transparent. Everything that you see here in terms of code, in terms of collaboration, you can download everything. You can access our source trees through Git. We provide build scripts, etc. It's fully customizable. You can do, there's so many different things you can do with AGL. And it's supported by an ecosystem of tier ones and service providers. You can see right now, we're combining, we're using Yocto as our build system and creating our distributions. System D, Pipewire, Kuxa.val for vehicle connectivity, Flutter, as well as Qt for UI creation, Jenkins and Lava for CI and CD deployment. And then we create a bunch of AGL services on top of that are very automotive specific, like how do you create an HVAC, audio services, things like that. And we provide a wide variety of AGL reference apps, and those are available either in Qt or in Flutter. And I'll talk about what Flutter is in case you don't know in a minute or two. We've invested, we're code, like I said, we're code first, and importantly, we're upstream first. So we're trying not to reinvent the wheel. There have been a lot of other projects that, and AGL suffered from this at first when there was not necessarily components that were automotive quality or didn't meet automotive requirements. So if you go back 10 years ago, I had a slide I've shown in other places about the evolution of AGL. But we've invested in the last 10 years in automotive software components that are not available or were not available anywhere else. We're continually evaluating new technologies, open source technologies, to find what's the best in class for automotive use cases. We have invested by providing developers, and we've upstreamed code in open source projects like Pipewire, Wire Plumber, which really came about because of the automotive requirements for maintaining, for the Yocto, Lava, Kuxa, and others. Wire Plumber is basically the management of the streams. And we're really willing to collaborate with anybody who brings code. In some of these cases, projects have come to us with ideas and how to collaborate. In other cases, we went out and evaluated and found that there was something that was best in class that we could make use of. We have a large number of device profiles. We have multiple instrument cluster configurations, including bare metal Linux, container, and KVM ready versions of the instrument cluster. Same thing goes for our IVI reference, IVI reference images. Our IVI expert group has been bringing Flutter into the vehicle. We've got Flutter and Qt demo UI versions available for both instrument cluster and IVI. And then we actually have multiple versions of both for those, so you can pick and choose what you'd like. Our connectivity expert group has created a gateway device or a telematics device. And we also have created a demo control panel / ECU simulator that you can run from a Raspberry Pi or from a laptop running QEMU. And if you see, so I have a lot of links in this presentation. If you go to the AGL documentation site, you can get a complete list of images that can be built from the source tree. And we're, I would say, almost always adding new images that you can build and that you can play with. So just, kind of how this all fits together. You may have been at Embedded World in Nuremberg earlier this year, but if not, we were showing a demo with basically two different boards running AGL. One is this AGL reference hardware board, which is a gateway. And that was collecting data from our demo control panel, as well as from a steering wheel that was provided by Suzuki, which has audio and HVAC controls, things like that. And those were each on different CAN buses. That gateway was aggregating the data from the different CAN buses, and it both sends that up to an AWS cloud running Graviton, so we can display what was going on, and to another AGL board running our instrument cluster and IVI, both in virtual machines on top of KVM. So really, this ties together all the different pieces that you can do in one demo. And all of this code is available in our latest release, which is called Salmon or 19.0. So really, this is kind of the complete picture. You can move any of these pieces of functionality wherever you want in terms of isolating them or combining them using KVM or bare metal or however you want to do it. And so I just want to, can't stress enough, we love collaboration. We're willing to collaborate with anyone who brings code. We've worked with numerous projects and companies to integrate their code, all levels of the stack, BSPs. We always have companies that want to provide or want to get AGL on their board. In some cases, it's done in public, and we make those BSPs available in the UCB. So that's happened recently with Rockchip, with some of the TI boards like the BeagleBone AI64. But we're also creating services, and we're working. When we're working with companies that want to provide new services and new apps, and everything we do is completely open and transparent. We've got source code that you can download. And build instructions and pre-built binaries that are available for everything that we do. So I didn't know this had this transition. So just to start with some of the collaboration that we're currently involved in, we, of course, automotive grade Linux, these are all the Linux Foundation projects that are kind of SDV related or SDV adjacent. The Yocto project, which basically is tools for creating the distribution, but also for creating the SBOM, SPDX files for creating the layers, for creating. They have an auto builder that allows us to do some early testing on our AGL code. There's Zephyr, which is an open source RTOS, and basically we're creating we're working on creating an SDV platform with mixed criticality using Zephyr and having all that integrated. We've also done work with the Zen project, and we are members, which is again which is a hypervisor, an open source hypervisor. And then we are gold members of the Yocto project. We are also associate members of the ELISA project, which is enabling Linux in safety applications, working on Linux functional safety. There is a systems working group that we kind of kicked off, and they're using AGL as the basis for their non-Zephyr virtual machines there. And there has been in the past an automotive working group that we are working to revive. Really, we worked on an instrument cluster use case through an instrument cluster use case with ELISA. We made available a white paper and some code concerning how to make the telltales available in a functional safety manner. And we have our instrument cluster working group that's continued to work with ELISA. Flutter, if you don't know what Flutter is a UI toolkit that was created by and maintained by Google as part of Android. And Toyota decided to create an automotive, basically I'll call it a general embedded Flutter project. So you can take their version of Flutter and embed it in any kind of embedded system, and they're actively contributing that to AGL. Toyota does an excellent job of keeping their open source code always near the Flutter tip of tree. So we're pretty close to whatever you can do in the Android space with Flutter, you can do with AGL. Yeah, so basically, and we are working very closely with Toyota on this. They're running our IVI expert group. Another area of collaboration here is with the vehicle signal specification, which is owned by Covisa. That defines a data model for vehicles that's being used in a lot of different projects. They also Cuxa.val, which is kind of run by Bosch and is an Eclipse SDV project under that umbrella. Cuxa.val implements a Rust data broker that provides access to VSS signals, and so any kind of automotive signal or automotive interface that you see in AGL is now being implemented through Cuxa.val and the vehicle signal specification. We are using the latest VSS, which is version 5.0, and we're always keeping up with the latest Cuxa.val code. Our usage includes CAN communications in our IC and IVI, inter-IC and IVI communications, our demo control panel, and more. So it doesn't necessarily have to be CAN. We've used VSS. We've implemented VSS in our MQTT broker for accessing the outside, access to the cloud through Ethernet. And basically, you can implement it through pretty much any communications channel. VirtIO is another project that's out there. Panasonic and Virtual Open Systems have been collaborating to make VirtIO the standard for I/O virtualization in our software-defined vehicle architecture. Over the last 2 or 3 years, through our software-defined vehicle expert group, we've made audio, graphics, CAN, GPIO, much more available through VirtIO. And then Panasonic has created what we call the unified HMI. It allows multiple virtual machines or ECUs or containers to share multiple displays. It's really kind of an amazing thing. And applications can then be rendered to any display in the cockpit or in the rear seat, no matter which SOC or no matter which ECU they're running on. And that display can be shared by multiple ECUs, all as defined by unified HMI. That's ongoing implementation. Really exciting, and we don't have unified HMI in any of our official demos yet, but really we're working on getting something in the next 3 to 6 months available, so people can start playing with that using reference applications that we provide. So we really want to take this to the next level. Right now, the demo that we've described and the demo that's available for download, or the reference application that's available for download, is using KVM, which is not a Type 1 hypervisor. So we want to make AGL available, and using a Type 1 hypervisor. Really, we're limited to, or we want to be limited to open source solutions, and the obvious open source solution for that is the Zen project. We have a plan to basically then use Zephyr for ASIL applications for ADAS. And right now, what we'd like to do is convert our gateway demo from basically an all Linux CAN interface solution with a KVM hypervisor to basically using Zephyr for accessing the safety critical portions, including the CAN bus, having that communicate with the instrument cluster and the IVI, and having that all done through a Type 1 hypervisor. We're working on an official name for this project. That's still under review, but yeah. So we've been announcing this. We've been talking about this, and we're going to have some more information. I'll be talking about our all-member meeting that's coming up in July that I'll invite all of you to attend in Berlin. But we'll have more information and more discussion, and even hopefully a demo of a preview demo of this in our Berlin at our Berlin all-member meeting. Basically, we want to make this an environment for building the multiple open source components and integration in an SDV reference platform that you can pick up and you can use, and you can start adding your own features and playing with, and hopefully contribute back code to AGL. And again, mixed criticality environment using Zephyr, and an open source Type 1 hypervisor. So AGL is the only open source project already in position to build these software-defined vehicles of the future. Everything we do is built and tested using open source tools. We're collaborating with a large number of embedded open source projects. We have downloadable binaries for QEMU and a wide variety of boards, including Raspberry Pi, Renaissance boards, BeagleBone, Rockchip, etc. And really, we completely believe in collaborating and sharing. That increase everybody's velocity, reduces cost across the industry, and really, when there's an open source version of a standard or a spec, everyone wins. We're not interested in writing specs, but we are interested in implementing them. We are interested in working with people who want to implement them and make them available open source. So this is just a quick summary of our AGL use cases that we've shown. This is all of this again is available today. AGL with an instrument cluster and an IVI. We have people who have shown AGL as an instrument cluster with an Android IVI, and AGL with ADAS and RTOS use cases. So AGL is really, we're not the new kid in town. In this year, in 2025, we're celebrating 10 years of UCB releases. We do 2 releases per year, 2 major releases per year. We do at least 4 updates per major release. So those will do at least 4 point releases per major release. And we track Yocto project LTS versions through those LTS end of life. And what that means is right now we're using ScartGap, which is version 5.0 for our latest releases. And we'll continue to track ScartGap until it goes end of life next year. No, in 2 years rather, I take that back. And then we continue to track Kirkstone. I'll show you that in a second. So yeah, like I said, we've had 2 years, 2 releases per year, every year. We started working on this in 2015, and we name our releases after fish. And so we started with Agile Albacore, and our latest release is Super Salmon. So our latest LTS release is Quirky Quillback version 17. And Quillback continues to track the Yocto Kirkstone LTS version 4.0. We just released, I have a schedule coming up. We just released 17.1.19. Anyway, it's been a lot. And we'll continue to maintain that through April of 2026 when Yocto plans for Kirkstone to go end of life. Yeah, you can see 17.1.9, I'm sorry, not 19, will be released this week. And we'll continue to do updates. We do basically, as the Yocto project releases 4.0 versions, we try to do our release a few weeks after their release. So we try to stay on top of what they're doing. Super Salmon was our release earlier this year. It basically is tracking ScartGap, which is their Yocto is running 2 LTS versions concurrently, version 4 and version 5. In Salmon, we updated Flutter to, again, close to the tip of the tree, 3.27.1. We updated our Qt applications to Qt 6. And specifically Qt 6.7.3. We added a pre-configured image for unified HMI, so you can play with that. We ported our demo control panel, which is our ECU simulator, to Qt 6. We added the ability to do file playback from the Carla vehicle simulator. It's an open source vehicle simulator. You can visualize signals. You can do power control. You can switch. We have a version of our instrument cluster demo where our instrument cluster team runs multiple containers, has multiple containers available with the different instrument cluster UI versions, say Qt or Flutter or an old web app based UI, and you basically keep the instrument cluster up and running and tear down the IVI container and run those different UIs on the IVI side. Meanwhile, the instrument cluster stays up and running. We've got speech recognition, again, open source. Whisper AI is the voice agent, and we continue to work on that. And again, a bunch of BSP updates and new BSPs from Rockchip, from NVIDIA, and we have RISC-V support. So we added the Star 5 Vision 5.2. We previously had another Sci-5 board, the Unmatched, and we'll continue to evolve our RISC-V support as we go along. So you can see we have a few more patch releases planned for Salmon through the fall of this year. And then we have Terrific Trout coming out in July or in June. So we're working on finalizing Terrific Trout. The final release, we've had our Milestone 1 release. Milestone 2 will be in another week or so. and then the final release will be by July 4th of Terrific Trout. So I know at this point you're saying, wow, this sounds exciting. I want to get involved. How do I do that? So we have about 8 or 10 active expert groups. You can go to our Confluence page and you can click on each of these to see what each of the expert groups is doing. I just want to highlight a few here. We have a software-defined vehicle expert group. They've made, like I said, they've made VirtIO available in the UCB for hypervisor and non-hypervisor use cases. They are actively working on unified HMI, and they're now taking on this new reference platform that's been proposed by Honda. That reference platform that I showed you before, that was proposed by Honda and Panasonic and others are starting to work on that. And that's all being done through the SDV expert group. One of the more exciting things, or one of the more interesting things that has happened in the last year or less, it's been about a year, we decided to create an open source program office expert group. The Linux Foundation, we already had numerous resources available for open source projects and OSPOs, but really there's a lot of, I'd say, trepidation in the automotive industry about using open source and how to use open source, how to contribute to open source. We have found, if I go back 10 years ago to when I started on AGL, I came from Continental prior to that. And one of the things I did at Continental was I created what we now call the OSPO at Continental. And we delivered some Linux-based projects to Mercedes-Benz. And this goes back to 2010, 2011. And it took a lot of education within Continental and within Mercedes about what all that meant, what the obligations were, how to use open source. And I found, we found over the years that sometimes it's taken member companies that want to contribute code, it's taken them sometimes 2 years to figure out actually how to contribute the code. And we really want to simplify that process, simplify the ability for OEMs and tier 1s and tier 2s to make contributions, not just to AGL, but to any open source projects. In some cases, they want to create their own projects. Make it easier for engineers in the automotive industry in general, and eliminate those hurdles so that OEMs can contribute code to open source. This is a really exciting project. They're working on some collateral for how to approach management about using open source, how to train your engineers in using open source, what open source is. There's a lot of stuff going on. We'll have a lot more information available during our all-member meeting. And so look for some press releases around that and some of that collateral to start becoming available in the next 6 weeks. Our IVI expert group is led by Toyota. They maintain their Flutter embedder. And we've now kicked off an App Store proof of concept. So this App Store, the link there leads to our Confluence page where we're starting to work on that. We have a Google Summer of Code contributor working on this App Store. And so this is going to be, we wrote the requirements some time ago. It's really going to be about application lifecycle management, both pre-production and post-production. And how do you allow your user to download applications? How do you manage those applications once the vehicle has been launched? How do you update those? Over-the-air update, things like that. The IVI expert group has a meeting on weekly meeting on Thursdays, and we alternate between a U.S. European friendly time, which would be about this time of the day, and a Japan friendly time, which is in the morning Japan time, evening US time. So everybody can hopefully participate. Toyota, Joel Winarska, who maintains the Flutter embedder, He participates in both sets of meetings, as well as myself and a few others. And then other people come and go every week. It's a really interesting meeting every time. We also have our app framework and connectivity expert group you can contribute or meet with. They meet every other Wednesday. They have basically, they're coordinating with vehicle signal specification and the CUXA projects. They created and maintain the gateway device profile and the demo control panel. And we have other companies that have been coming in and working with this group on how to create or how to integrate their code, or in some case, in one case recently, InstantX, how to integrate their open source code project with AGL and make that available for everybody. And that's all being coordinated through our app framework and connectivity expert group. Instrument cluster expert group has created and is maintaining the container-based instrument cluster IVI solution, but they're also participating in the SDV expert group. And then we have our continuous integration and automated test group. They maintain our Lava, our Jenkins CI, our Lava board farm. They make sure that all runs smoothly. We automatically build and test all patches that are submitted to Garrett. We also have some manual testing and as well as automated testing that gets run on every release candidate before it gets released to the community. So we also have this is some really important ways you can collaborate with us. We have a weekly developer call on Thursdays at 9 o'clock. Anybody can call in. We go over the status of each of the upcoming releases. Anybody who has a question is free to ask it. We try to get people help on that call. We have a mailing list. We have a Discord server. The Discord server has over 100 people active on it now. So if you have questions or you want to know how to do a particular thing on AGL, there's all these different communication methods available. I have a bunch of resources here. There's just a bunch of things you can look at. We have a wiki page, which includes our latest schedule and release notes, the AGL documentation site, which includes our getting started guide. Basically, how do I get started with AGL? How do I contribute patches? How do I get the code up and running? There's documentation for various components. And we use Jira for our task management and defect management. So, kind of the last 3 slides here. We have an all-member meeting coming up in Berlin on July 9th and 10th. We have a really good slate of speakers planned. If you want to attend, we're opening this up to non-members. You can email me, wminer@linuxfoundation.org, for the registration code. There's a technical workshop that's open to anybody. Again, no registration required for that. We'll be having system architecture team and expert group meetings in person on July 11th. Really, it's a great opportunity to meet our developers, to meet some of the executives that attend that are part of our advisory board. We do these all-member meetings twice a year. We had our earlier one in Tokyo in February. So again, everybody's invited. You can email me for a registration code. We will also be at a joint event with Covisa and AutoSAR in Tokyo in September. It's SDV Forum X. It's a really great conference. There were a huge number of participants last year. We should be having a booth there. You can come and see demos. You can come meet our Japanese as well as other developers there. It's a really, really exciting event that's coming up in September. And then another place you can meet with us is Automotive Linux Summit. That is really the premier automotive Linux event every year. It's co-located with Open Source Summit Japan at the same dates, the 8th through the 10th. And then if you're interested in Linux plumbers, plumbers will be in Japan this year at the same venue, December 11th through 13th. So you can make it one heck of a trip and attend and meet all sorts of people from around the open source ecosystem and around the Linux ecosystem. For Automotive Linux Summit, if you are interested in giving a talk, the CFP is open now. It closes August 4th. I'd love to see the head of the program committee. Love to see what you've got and what you want to talk about. Finally, and I didn't put a slide in here, Open Source Summit Europe and Embedded Linux Conference are being held in Amsterdam at the end of August. I have a talk there that I'll be giving, and we will have there will be a tech showcase for Embedded Linux Conference again this year, and we will have an AGL table during the tech showcase one of the nights there. So a lot of different ways you can participate and you can communicate with us. So that's all I had. I wanted to open it up to questions now. I'll kick it back to Mario for now.
Thank you very much, Walt. So a really great, impressive presentation about what AGL Linux is, what you're working on. So I have some questions, but let's see if there are other questions. So I think there is one in the chat from Gunther. May I start with this one and then the others
Sure.
can read? So he asked, can you explain the safety qualification status? Is it possible to use AGL in ASIL-B project?
Yeah, we have our instrument cluster team is working with one of our OEMs to deploy AGL in an ASIL-B project later this year. I can't really talk about it too much, but that will be announced, I believe, in the third quarter, and that will be basically a single screen combining instrument cluster and IVI functionalities for the two-wheeler and low-end automotive market. And one of the things that we did with the ELISA project is we did a study of basically how to use AGL in an ASIL-B environment for the instrument cluster, and how to meet mostly it was the telltale requirements for the instrument cluster. And there's a white paper available that we wrote that details what you need to do. The ELISA project is also working on how to qualify the Linux kernel itself. And then we're basically using, like this says, I think, we're using the instrument cluster in a QM fashion, quality management fashion.
So this white paper you mentioned, that's available online where they wrote?
That is online. I'll update the presentation and I'll add the link to that white paper.
Okay. Yeah. Can you share the presentation with us so that I can distribute it?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay,
that was
Other questions from the audience?
And perhaps one additional question to this safety topic. That means it is not only with Sapphire that you are targeting ASIL software, but also with AGL directly without Sapphire operating system.
Not right now. We're not there. We're targeting that eventually, but we're not there yet.
Okay. Mm-hmm. That means this use case that you have described is then also based on Sapphire for the instrument cluster.
No, so in that case, the instrument cluster is AGL, but the AGL is not. It's quality. I'm not a safety expert, so I'm going to say something wrong. I know, but my understanding is it's a QM. It's done in a QM fashion, and it turned out that when we did the study of the instrument cluster, the only thing that was determined to be safety relevant was the telltales, the lights. And they determined that they could do that. They could meet all of the requirements with an external watchdog, which could be done with Zephyr. So the actual AGL portion is not is not safety qualified, and I'm sure I'm messing up the language here. So you're better off reading the white paper than listening to my description.
Okay, thanks, Walt.
Thank you. Then another question: does AGL Linux provide support for the real-time kernel, and is the toolchain available for AGL to play with AGL?
The toolchain is yes. Everything is available in toolchain wise. In fact, if you go to the docs.automotivelinux.org, there'll be build instructions and how to create the tool chain and how to use the tool chain. In terms of the real-time patches, they're not patches anymore. They're part of the kernel. We have not had a need at this point to enable the real-time stuff. Basically, because even the instrument cluster implementations that we've done, we've been able to meet all of their requirements without enabling it. There's nothing that says you couldn't. It's just that we have not done that. So this is the thing where we welcome collaboration and participation. If somebody really wanted to see that happen, we're more than happy to make it happen with you and make that available for people. But so far, nobody has been interested enough to actually do the work because they haven't seen the need for it.
Thanks. Additional questions?
Yeah, I also have another question in addition to this real time. Where this AGL service sitting on the top of this Linux kernel, and do we have some kind of information that this service is providing what?
What services is AGL providing?
Yes, because I hope it's sitting on the top of the Linux. So
yes.
what?
So we use Open Embedded as our upstream, and then on top of besides Open Embedded, we include systemd, Pipewire and WirePlumber for audio. We provide Flutter or Qt. You can pick whichever one you want. You can build it either way. We provide Kuxa.val integrated, so you can basically access the vehicle signal, any of the signals in the vehicle signal specification. There's AGL specific, automotive specific services for accessing things like HVAC, speed, things like that. So there's a lot of different things that are integrated on top of in the user space on top of the Linux kernel.
Okay, clear. Thanks.
Yeah, it's a complete distribution. We provide reference applications, so you can basically see what other people have done to access these services.
Okay, so it means if it's sitting on the top of, and if we want to configure our Linux kernel as we are using Yocto here, so we can it's free to integrator or whoever the user for the AGL, right?
Yeah. So I mean, one of the interesting things I find over the years is I go to conferences or I get emails or whatever through LinkedIn. I hear of companies who are using AGL in ways that I didn't know about. So I just heard from an electric vehicle startup in California that's using AGL for their instrument cluster. And I think they're just, people are just picking the pieces that they're interested in and going ahead and using them. And if you go look at that list of, I forget which slide it's on, but if you go look at this list of device profiles, if you go to the AGL documentation site, you get there's a pretty extensive list of images that you can build from the source tree, and through when you set up your build, there's something called AGL setup, and there's a lot of different configuration items in there where you can select exactly what you want in your device using AGL setup.
Okay, that's great.
Thanks. Another question, please, Larusi from Renault. What's about cybersecurity audit code? Did you have an idea how we can be sure that we don't need for each release a new audit, cyber?
A new audit? Is that what you said?
Yes. How we can check? Did we need a new check
So
cybersecurity?
Yeah, so we use the Yocto provides a method for creating the SBOM, SPDX files through the SBOM. Yocto also provides CVEs, so we can look at what CVEs are noted for each of the components in the SBOM. At the end of the day, we're trying to provide enough information so that somebody who's using AGL knows exactly what's going into it. And we're trying to keep up with our patch updates and bring in any known security fixes that are out there and make that available to you in our patch updates. At the end of the day, the device manufacturer themselves is going to be responsible for gathering up all their SBOM and figuring out what kind of cybersecurity risks they have. We're trying to make this as easy as possible. We're also looking at the Cyber Resiliency Act, and we want to work with Yocto and other projects to basically enable our device manufacturers to be compliant with the CRA as easily as possible. But it's kind of the same thing as with functional safety. You're really responsible for, the device maker, are responsible for certifying that the device is functionally safe. We, AGL, as an open source project, or as any of your OS vendors, we're really trying to make sure that you have everything, all the data available that you need to make the case that you are functionally safe, to your certifying organization, or that you have enough information to understand the cybersecurity risks that come along with AGL.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
So there are two more questions in the chat. The first is from Kino. Hi, is the complete Xen plus AGL Zephyr stack something that is ready and available to download somewhere to run yourself?
We are getting there. So if you look in our tree, the Xen pieces are there. The Zephyr pieces are not there yet. We did a demo with the Elisa project, demoing Zephyr and AGL together. That's the thing with this reference platform that we're talking about, this new SDV reference platform. We have a lot of the pieces. We've not tied them all together very well. And so what we want to do this year is have a way for you to be able to download this and get it up and running with no problem. Right now, we have a lot of the pieces, but we don't have them integrated, and we don't have all VirtIO, and there's some holes, or there are some missing pieces in the Xen implementation that we need to work on with the Xen project.
That's where maybe we can start in and think a bit, because that's also where we are working on in the research project.
Yes, there's a lot of people working on it, and that's where we want to help. That's where we want to really collaborate with AMD and other projects to get this up and and make it available as one download and one-stop shopping.
Okay, so then Yason asks, how easy is it to create custom software on top of the demos or images that are provided from AGL?
I'm biased, so I'm going to tell you it's pretty easy. But I hear from device creators or people who are working on devices, and they tell me that they've had a pretty easy time of doing this. And if you have any issues, we're always happy to help, whether it's on Discord or a mailing list or one of our calls. But I just heard from I hear from people all the time, but I just heard from an electric vehicle company that's using AGL for their instrument cluster in California. And they were very pleased, and they said it was very easy to get things up and running and then to be able to customize it for what they wanted to do.
Thanks. So in general, this AGL is a huge integration project where you bring projects together. You use the Linux kernel, the embedded build system from Yocto, you have Flutter, is by Fire, and so on. So
right.
is there a process how to harmonize all these projects to bring the APIs and the SDKs together so that everything works, or how that works?
Yeah, we do that through our system architecture team, and through our we do that through our system architecture team and our various expert groups. If somebody comes to us with something that they're interested in integrating into AGL and making it open source, we're pretty easy to work with. We'll try to help anybody. We've even had cases where people have asked us for help in getting something working on their specific boards. But just generally, if you come to us with some code you want to integrate, and we find it valuable for putting in our demo, we're more than happy, in our reference applications, we're more than happy to get it into our CI system and get it into our release cycles. And we've had a number of different projects come to us, and we've done that.
And all these groups are open to system architecture team and this.
All of those. If you go to our email list, the complete calendar of expert group meetings is on that in that mailing list page.
One last question. I'm not sure if you can answer that, but how much effort is it for Toyota or another company who uses this AGL stack in their products to customize that and to really bring it to this product at the end?
I do not know.
Okay. So it's not a complete re-implementation, so they take over something, they get all the information they need for qualification, or say it's QM, but the requirements are there and so on.
I think at the end of the day, I'm not sure. I don't think they're forking it, if that's what you're asking. I think there a lot of but what we don't see a lot of, and this is where the OSPO expert group will come in, will help us. What we don't see is we see a lot of people taking AGL and using it. We don't see a lot of people contributing back. Contributing back, whether it's fixes or new features. That has really been the hard thing in automotive in general. I mean, that's a problem in open source in general. People take things, they use them, and they don't necessarily tell you how they're using them or contribute back ideas or fixes. So one of the things that, and automotive companies, especially, I used to work for tier ones. Tier ones are very secretive and everything's special sauce. Everything is very proprietary. It doesn't have to be. I mean, that's what I've said for the last, 15, 20 years is everybody has an implementation of how to interface to a phone and how to interface with a network, that they've got legacy programs that do that. And really, they'll probably at the end of the day, all have the same or very similar requirements, but everybody's implemented their own way. And there's no need really for that to be done 10 or 20 different ways. But getting everybody to agree that, hey, we should collaborate on this, in principle, that's really easy to do. In actuality, it's really hard to do because nobody wants to take the first step and contribute their implementation and then collaborate, openly to improve it. And in the automotive world, that's both, kind of legacy, proprietary think, and that's also, we don't know how to interact with open source and how to be good open source citizens. And that's really what the OSPO expert group is trying to help with.
I know that. Are there additional questions from the audience? Seems not, so that we are just in time, 1 minute after.
Awesome.
So then I say thank you very much, Walt. You shared the presentations with us. It was pretty interesting. Great.
I'll send it to you later today.
Yeah, thank you. And I will get in contact with you because I see a lot of collaboration points also where we can work together. So also not only with us as company, but also with the research projects and this SCORE and so on, what they are working, and bring the people together.
Okay.
Okay. So then,
awesome.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, everybody, for joining, and see you hopefully in the next TechTalk. Okay. Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.